Photoshop is one of the industry standard tools used by graphic designers and digital artists for a long time now. But learning how to use Photoshop can be really frustrating, majorly because of the numerous tools you need to learn in order to be proficient with this application. In this video tutorial, I am going to walk you through 10 tools, features, and techniques that will help you, even as a complete beginner, to start making beautiful graphic design with Photoshop.
Composition or compositing is one very important aspect of graphic design. I'll tell you why. This dictates how elements or objects in your design are arranged or juxtaposed to make a visually cohesive whole. Without a well-composed layout, your design will simply fall apart. Design is directly linked to communication, so you want your message to be passed to an audience quickly and unambiguously.
I recommend starting any design project with some simple sketches. Thinking on paper gives you the creative freedom to express and the leverage to make multiple versions of a design without the constraint and confinement which are characteristics of every design application. So draw out rough sketches of your layout, representing images and text with simple lines and shapes, refining the layout as you go. And you don't have to be an artist to do this very well.
So what is image resolution? Image resolution simply refers to the number of pixels that make up an image.
It is measured with a unit called PPI, or pixel per inch. Simply put, the number of pixel boxes that are present in 1 square inch of an image. So the higher the number, the higher the image resolution, which have a direct correlation with the image quality. The standard image resolution for print is 300 ppi. I basically use 300 ppi for every graphic design I do in Photoshop. Knowing this, we can go ahead to create our project. Click on the new project and fill in the image size you want. I will be using the A4 size for this project and of course a 300 ppi image resolution. Layer basically holds pixel values in Photoshop, so all the elements you will be adding into your design will be sitting on layers.
This also helps for organizing your project as well.
In case you can't find the layer panel or any other panel in Photoshop, go to the Windows menu and activate it. To add a new layer, click on the Add New Layer icon below the layer panel. You can reorder layers by clicking and dragging them vertically.
A new layer is also added when some objects are created, like a text or a shape, or even dropping an image.
This will take us to the next action in this design tutorial, adding a photo to our project. We can simply do a drag and drop from our folder or copy and paste from another project window in Photoshop.
Background remover is one fun thing to do in Photoshop, and it can be done in a plethora of ways. I am just going to show you a couple of ways to remove background from an image in a non-destructive manner.
To do this, we are going to start by making a selection with a tool called the pen tool. So follow these steps to make a selection. Step 1. Select the pen tool from your toolbox. On the option bar, which is just below your menu bar, make sure to switch the pick tool mode to path. This is because we just want to create a path, not a shape with a fill. Step 2. Start making a clean trace around your subject. You should zoom in by pressing Ctrl or Command plus on your keyboard, or just pinch on your trackpad. If you need to make a curvy path along the way, click and drag. It will take you a lot of practice to get used to this tool, so keep doing it. Step 3. When you have successfully made a path around your subject and you are back to where you started from, simply click on the first point to close your path. You can use the direct selection tool to further refine the path to line up with your subject. Now we have a path. Next up is to make a selection from this path. To do this, right-click on the path and make sure the pen tool or the direct selection tool is active. Then click on Make Selection. Just use the default settings presented, as we will do some little refining to the selection at the next step. A new selection is made using the path. To remove the background, we need something called a layer mask. So head over to the menu and under Select, click Select and Mask. The Select and Mask window gives you some tools to further refine your selection. Use the feather and smooth sliders to add some softness to the selection edges. A tiny value works most of the time. Just check the preview to see how much softness is added. Use the Shift Edge tool to kind of reduce the blurry effect on the edges created by the feather tool. If you're making the selection of a subject with hair, click on the Refine Edge brush tool located at the right hand side. Paint the hair of the subject's hair to make a more defined selection. Once done with all the refinement, scroll down to the Output Settings section on the right hand side, select Layer Masks from the drop down and click OK. We will talk about masking later in this video.
One other simple way to remove background from an image, it's actually too good to be true.
Go to the Select menu, click on Subject. That's all you need to do to make a quick selection in Photoshop.
Photoshop uses an AI to create a marquee selection around the subject in the scene, so it automatically detects a subject. It could be a human being, a shoe, a bag, whatever it is. So if there's a subject in that image, Photoshop uses the AI to automatically detect it and make a selection of that.
Although you might need to do some refining to get better edges, but this saves a lot of time when you have an image with a simple background.
Color is a gargantuan subject we can really talk all about in this short tutorial video, but we will stick to the scope of this video and I'm going to show you how to use the color tool in Photoshop.
There are majorly two types of color styles, solid and gradient, and this is how to use both in your design within Photoshop. The background and foreground color picker. These are located on the toolbar and the old colors used by brushes, shapes, and text in Photoshop. You can quickly pick or set a color value for these boxes by clicking on them and selecting a color of your choice. You can also pick a color from your design or image and set the color as your foreground or background color simply by using the eyedropper tool that appears. To toggle or switch the colors, click on the arrow above it or use the X key on your keyboard. To take it back to the default black and white, click on the tiny black and white icon above it or press the D key on your keyboard.
So gradient color is actually a gradual blend of colors from one to another. Okay, so it could be just two, but gradual blend is the key word.
To set a gradient color in Photoshop, click on the gradient tool on the toolbar, go up to the option bar, click on the gradient edit box above and set your gradient colors. Click on the color stop icon under the gradient strip to set a color. You can add as many colors as you want simply by clicking under the strip. You can also change the opacity or transparency of the color by clicking on the stopper above the strip. The property boxes will automatically switch to the opacity value. So how do we use these colors? To do this, let's first add a blank layer to our design. Go to the toolbox and select the Paint Bucket tool. Go back to your image and click on it to apply the color to the selected layer. To apply a gradient color, select the Gradient tool, click and drag a line across your image. The direction of the line will determine the direction of the gradient blend.
There are basically two types of graphic elements you can use in Photoshop. They are raster and vector.
Raster or bitmap images are described by an array of bits within a rectangular grid of pixels or dots.
On the other hand, vector images are described by lines, shapes, and other graphic image components stored in a format that incorporates geometric formulas for rendering image elements. So Photoshop is bundled with shape tools that will enable you create any type of shape from geometric shapes to freeform. Head over to the toolbox, click on the shape tool you want and draw by clicking and dragging on your image. To edit a shape, select a tool called the Direct Selection tool. Click on any of the vertices or points to adjust the shape. You can also add more points by right-clicking and selecting Add Anchor Point. There are other shape tools like the Pen tool. The Pen tool is used to create free-form drawing or custom shapes. There is also another tool called the Convert Point tool. This tool is used to convert a point from straight to curvy or vice versa. More of the shape tool in another video. Mastery of typography is one skill level every graphic designer should strive to reach. Typography design is way more than just dumping a bunch of text on a canvas. It is more about the idea behind how those texts are used and what they represent in your design. And when you're able to interpret a message with text properly, you will communicate better as a graphic designer. To add the text in Photoshop, simply select the text tool on your menu bar. Click on your image and paste or type your text. Change the font color and typeface using the tools on the text option bar. I made a duplicate of the text layer by pressing Ctrl or Command J on the keyboard. This can be used to duplicate any layer in Photoshop, not just the text layer. In case you have like a paragraph long text to add to your design, do this. Using the text tool, click and drag on the image as opposed to just a single click to make one. The paragraph text comes with a boundary box that fits all the text you pasted or typed. The text are wrapped within the box, and if you have a lengthy text that couldn't be contained at the box, Photoshop hides them and show an indication at the bottom right of the box with a plus sign. Just increase the size of the box to get all your text displayed. You can adjust the character spacing or kerning and the line or leading spacing in your text by using the options provided in the character panel. You can change the size of any object in Photoshop using the free transform tool. To access this tool, select the layer with the content you wish to transform and press Ctrl or Command T on your keyboard, or go to the Edit menu and select Transform. To switch the transform style when the transform tool is active, right-click on the image. You can scale, rotate, skew, or change the perspective of your object with this tool. One key thing to note is when transforming a text or an image, do well to maintain the aspect ratio so you don't end up with a text or image that is stretched. Click on the link icon above or simply resize with the diagonal angles while holding the Shift key on your keyboard. Masking is simply hiding or revealing parts of an object in your design. There are two types of masking in Photoshop: the clipping mask and layer mask. A layer mask gives you a precise control over a certain portion of an entire layer. It's a non-destructive way of hiding parts of a layer's content without erasing them. To create a layer mask, click on the layer mask icon below the layer panel. To hide content within a layer using a layer mask, make sure the layer mask is active. Select the paint brush and change the foreground color to black. Paint on your image to hide layer content. To reveal hidden content, change the foreground color to white and paint. Clipping mask. So clipping mask works by hiding the content of a layer within the boundaries of another. So for our example, we will be clipping an image inside of a text. Make sure the image layer is above the text layer. Hold the Alt key and left click in between the two layers. You can also use the shortcut key, Ctrl or Command Option and G. Layer blending is used to determine how the color pixels in a layer blends with other layers below it.
Photoshop has a total of 27 blending modes in 6 groups.
And the layer blending mode will be determined by the brightness and the darkness of the image that you're trying to blend and the layers underneath them.
To use the blending mode, you need at least 2 layers. The layer below is the base layer and the layer on top is the blend layer. Explore using blending mode in your project to blend textures and other images together in your design. Photoshop helps with a preview, so simply hover your cursor on each blending mode to see how it works on your image. To finish up my design, I used the rectangular shape tool to make some lines on the tennis court, and I added a tennis ball into the composition. I also moved some elements around while adding some details to the composition to make it look more realistic. I hope you got value from this content. Support this channel by clicking on the subscription button. Also do well to like, share and comment your thoughts below. See you next time.